The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone.
Hi everyone, it's Sophia Melonē, the Debt Demolisher, here to bring you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you manage your financial baggage the right way. What an honor and privilege it is to be before you all for yet another episode drop here on the Debt Demolisher TV, where we are continuing important conversations around the public service loan forgiveness limited waiver that is set to expire October 31st, 2022. So if you are someone who works in public service and you want to be able to take advantage of this limited waiver, pay attention closely.
What if the employer doesn't sign and certify by 1031? So here's good news and possibly bad news. The good news is, as long as you have one form in by October 31st that is signed by an eligible employer, the Department of Education has said that you can get the rest of your forms in later. So as long as you have one form on file, as long as you have filed one form by October 31st, you should still be good to be raising your hand to take advantage of the limited waiver perks, is what I would call it. But you want to still make sure that you're covering all of the periods that you need. So if you need to send in multiple and piecemeal, you can get them in. They said as long as you have one on file, then you should be good. But I was just encouraging folks, if they can get all of theirs in, so there's not any mishaps, no miscommunication, no any of that, to get it in by October the 31st. If your employer is just flat out refusing to sign, even after all of those different initiatives, and understanding that they have a volume as well, especially if you're just trying to get it in and we're like literally 6 business days out, giving them time, being, thoughtful of their time as well. But if they're refusing to sign, you could check the box and say that they're refusing to sign and provide alternative support if you at least want to be able to get that in by October 31st. So good job. They will let you know if they need to confirm anything, if they need any additional information from you. Are e-signatures accepted? This is a great question when it comes to the signatures for the public service loan forgiveness forms. So they will accept drawn signatures using like a draw pad, or using like the mouse and the clicker, or even drawing it with your finger. They will accept those signatures. They will also accept signatures that's an actual wet signature on the paper. They will also accept a photo image of a signature. Of course, it has to be clear, has to be legible. An actual photo image of someone's signature on the form is what they will accept. They will not accept digital certifications right now. So, those digital certificate signatures that has like the time stamp and the date stamp and all of that. Unfortunately, they are not accepting that right now. And you also cannot use the type cursive font to like type in a signature on the form. That's not acceptable. So it has to be either a drawn signature with the draw pad using your finger, mouse, clicker. Has to be a photo image of an actual signature that can be kind of like embedded on the form, or it has to be an actual physical signature, wet signature that someone has signed on the form. Okay, what was the poverty formula again for the ICR? So the ICR formula is based on 20% of your discretionary income. And I'm going to look it up right now. And I'm going to tell you 2022 poverty. Because it's by household. So it depends on poverty guidelines. HHS. Here we go. So according to HHS, they have, and let me see if I can do this for you all, if you guys want to be able to see it. Do you guys want to see it? Because I can pull it up. I mean, I can show you. Let me just flip it around so I can show you. If that'll be helpful for you all. Oh, that's so cool. I think I figured out I can do a text poll with you guys. Sorry, I just saw something. I saw a feature that I didn't see before. Got me a little bit excited. I'm going to have to test it out. Okay, so this is the site for the HHS poverty guidelines. And of course, this is as of 2022. So more than likely, this is going to be the one that's going to be applicable for you. Unless the new guidelines, more than likely, it'll come out in the beginning of the year of next year, because this is effective as of January 12, 2022. But this is the poverty guidelines for 48 states and the District of Columbia. So it depends on where you live. So if you're not in Hawaii, if you're not in Alaska, then you need to be looking at this top table. Based on the number of persons that are in your household is what the poverty guideline would be. So they would take your adjusted gross income and subtract whichever level is applicable to you based on the number of people that's in your household. They would subtract that number from your adjusted gross income, and then they would take that amount and multiply it by 20%. And then that result would then get divided by 12 to figure out what the monthly payment will be. So it will be either that output, whichever is the lesser between that, and what your repayment terms will be on a 12-year fixed repayment plan. 12-year fixed repayment plan. Okay? Okay? And y'all see the website. If you just Google 2022, or if you just Google 2022 poverty guideline, just make sure that you're looking at the one by HHS, healthyhumanservices.gov. If you've been employed since 2006 with a qualified employer for public service loan forgiveness purposes up until now, then you're in good shape, because any payments that you've made on any of your loans between those times that it was dispersed. So at this point, your payment counts would essentially be from 2012 up until now, or maybe not. Because if these were dispersed in 2012, more than likely, if you were just starting school in 2012 and it takes you 4 years on average to get out of school, then you have 6 months of grace period that you're under before you go into repayment status. So that means the earliest that you could have potentially gone into repayment status is anywhere between late 2016 or sometime in 2017. So if that's the case for you, and you've been working with a qualified employer since 2017, or maybe not. Maybe not, because it depends on because any in-school status time would not count for public service loan forgiveness purposes. So whatever payments that you were making on your loans, you would have to have been making them while you were in a repayment status, some form of repayment status, even if that meant that your required payment was 0. Does your time with the employer determine if the loan is forgiven? It could. It kind of could tie one for one, as I was explaining a little bit earlier. To get to 120 payments, essentially that is 10 years. However, they are allowing lump sum payments to be able to count as more than one period within a given year. So if you've made a lump sum payment that would end up turning into 7 qualified payments just based on that 1 month that you made that lump sum payment, then that means and let's say that 7 payments get you to the 120, then that means that you're down to possibly working for your employer for 9 years and maybe 3 months or something like that. 9 years and a couple of months, because that lump sum payment got you to the 120 before you actually getting to 120 by making 1 payment a month, which is essentially what you will be doing under normal circumstances.
The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone. The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia